Hello friends, our topic for discussion today is service. So let's see what Swami Kriyananda ji says on this topic from his book Affirmations for Self-Healing. So Swami ji writes, service is ennobling. It's a way of offering our human littleness into the great reality that is God. Service should not be given with the thought that one is serving people merely. It should be given with an inward consciousness to the Lord who resides in all creatures. When we serve others in spirit, we find our own spirits becoming freed from egotism. Peace then fills us in the realization that there isn't anyone with whom we need to compete. What joy to think that we belong to God. Beautiful words by Swamiji. The line near the end, which says, peace then fills us in the realization that there isn't anyone with whom we need to compete, reminded me of my days a couple of years ago when I used to run my startup. And I remember spending my days in a constant state of stress and anxiety because I always felt that I have to compete with others in the marketplace, that somehow I wasn't working hard enough at any point, that there is always someone who's trying to beat me, so to speak, in business, and someone who is always working harder, who is going to get my clients, who's going to get the contracts that I am after. And that feeling never really let me rest. And when I was living in that state, I realized that everyone around me was also living in that state. That all the people I met had that competitive spirit, yes, which you might say is good to succeed, but I also saw that there was no light in their eyes, that they were drilled into working, they were grinding themselves just because they felt that they are competing with someone, that they feel the need to win. And what were we really after? I'm still not sure. But what I know is that when I later found out the techniques of meditation and this path as laid down by Paramhansa Yogananda, I finally started finding peace in my life, and that peace has always been growing ever since that day. And when we speak of service, I bring this experience up and share this with you because I used to feel, when I was in that circumstance in my life, I used to feel that this service, this attitude of generosity and serving others, this is just for people who are, let's say living in an ashram or teaching yoga, meditation, or maybe are building hospitals or doing good deeds. But I never thought that this attitude really can be applied even to the corporate world, even to the world where everyone is looking out for number one. And later I began to realize that my understanding was highly flawed, because service doesn't have to do anything with what you do outwardly, but it has everything to do with your inner attitude. Remember the last time you did a good deed, a good selfless deed for someone, when you helped out a certain friend, or you helped a person, or you put your needs aside to address the needs of another individual. I'm sure that you felt happy, right? And that happiness, where is that happiness coming from? That happiness is coming from an expansion of awareness. So you see, when we are operating in our day-to-day lives, we feel separate from each other. And because of that separateness, we feel that we have to look out for ourselves, and it doesn't matter what the other people are going through as long as I am happy, as long as I get what I want. And so when we live with that attitude, our awareness is contracted. It's limited to our little egoic selves, our likes, our dislikes, what we want, what will I get out of this situation. And the more we live in that thought, the more we find that the very happiness we are seeking is slipping out of our hands. But when we try to include others' realities in our own, then our awareness expands, and as a result of that expansion of awareness, we feel more uplifted, we feel more happy. And that is why service brings so much joy. When we look at the attitude with which we work, we would realize that often we are working for some or the other selfish motive. We are working because, let's say, we are hoping for that paycheck at the end of the month. We are working extra hard in hopes for getting a bonus. We are working to be recognized. We are working to win something, to prove ourselves better than someone. And all of these things are motivating us to do better. But the more we are motivated by such desires, the more we are thinking of ourselves, the less happy we are. Because our happiness is always conditioned on the future. But if we are working with the attitude of service, which is the simple attitude of how can I serve my client? How can I serve my co-workers? How can I serve my superiors? How can I make their lives easy? How can I make something of value which is going to help others? And the work that is done with that attitude brings joy in and of itself. It doesn't need, a paycheck. It doesn't need recognition. Just the fact of doing that work with an inward attitude of service is joyful in itself, and that's all the joy the doer needs when one is working with that attitude. And so it can be very helpful, you see, in our daily lives to keep checking our mental attitudes, to introspect our motives and see why we are doing what we are doing. You can have little post-it reminders, you can set reminders on your phone and remind yourself again and again to come back inwardly to that attitude of service. To ask, how can I be of help? How can I love? How can I serve? Swami Asha, who is one of our teachers and early members of Ananda Sangha, says often that this is the path. These two questions are the path to freedom in any challenging situation. How can I love? How can I serve? Because the moment we ask these questions, our awareness shifts. Our awareness shifts from only thinking about our problems, our realities, our life, to thinking about others. And the more we forget ourselves in the service of others, the more divine energy flows through us and the more joy we feel. There's really a true joy in self-forgetfulness. And as I said, it doesn't matter what you're doing outwardly as long as your inner attitude is right. One of my friends here at the Ananda Delhi ashram, Hari, you might know him already, he was sharing with me one experience that often as a part of organizing many programs here at the center, one of the main sevas is to set up chairs so that the people can sit, and it differs from program to program, and it involves a lot of heavy lifting, lifting chairs from one place to the other, lifting stacks of chairs sometimes. And he was telling me that just that simple act of lifting those stacks of chairs up and down the stairs, he felt so much joy that he had never felt even during his meditations at that point of time. And that joy, that feeling of inward centeredness, the feeling of God's presence remained with him for even when he had done, he was over with that service. And I'm not sure exactly how long it did, but it went on to show me that if our attitude is right, then it doesn't matter if we are sweeping the floor, if we are doing the dishes, if we are cooking, or if we are making a report, if we are making an analysis, if we are working on the laptop, doing spreadsheet work, answering emails. Everything, all encompassing, everything can be made pure, can be made ennobling by the attitude of service. And so that's, let's say, that can be our homework for today, for the coming week, to look at whatever it is that we are doing and think of it as a service to God. Because Swamiji writes here, as I read, service should not be given with the thought that one is serving people merely. Because our goal is not to serve people only. Yes, that is important. But who we are really serving is the divine within them. And when we can have that attitude, you would find that you will have all the energy you need to do everything that needs to be done if you think of it as a service to God. Great saints have realized this truth, and even when they pick up a straw from the ground, they feel that it's an act of service, that there is no differentiation between picking up a straw from the ground or being in meditation in samadhi. And that's the power of service. That's how ennobling it is, and that's how it can lead us further ahead, much ahead in our spiritual journey. So throughout this week, or as long as you wish, try to maintain this attitude of service in everything that you do. And let's now affirm that attitude together as we practice this affirmation by Swami Kriyananda. So let's center ourselves now, close our eyes, gaze uplifted behind closed eyes, and repeat these words with a lot of energy. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. And now in a whisper, taking it deeper into your subconscious mind, I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. And now mentally only gazing up at the point between the eyebrows, let this affirmation sink deeply into your superconscious mind, and repeat mentally only as I say these words out loud. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. I will serve God through others, and by my service to Him, release the hold the ego has on me. I am free in God. In God I am free. Let's also offer this prayer silently from our hearts. All that I do, Lord, I do for love for Thee. Accept my flowers of my service. to Thee as I place them on Thy altar of omnipresence. All that I do, Lord, I do for love of Thee. Accept the flowers of my service to Thee as I place them on Thy altar of omnipresence. Joy to you, my friends.